Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and I apologise for this video being late, but I am still trying to get myself motivated as far as my art's concerned. So this week's video is a sketchbook tour of my Inktober sketchbook. These are the tools that I used for my Inktober sketchbook. The pens are Pigma Micron fine liners and also their brush pen. So this is a set of 6 fine liners and 1 brush pen. It's the same set that I used last year, and the 3 pens that I used were a 01, a 08 and the brush pen, and this is my pencil and also my trusty favourite eraser, which is made out of rubber. This is my sketchbook, which is the same one I used last year. It's quite tiny, and I think next year I'll buy a bigger one. In case any of you don't know what Inktober is, it is a challenge which was started by Jake Parker in 2009, and the challenge is that you do an ink drawing of some sort every day for the whole of October. There are many prompt lists. This is the official one by Jake Parker, which is the one that I have used. So you don't have to think up what you're going to draw, you just draw something from the prompt. So day 1 was fish, and I drew a lionfish or dragonfish as it's sometimes called. I drew it because it had kind of really lacy type fins, and I thought it was quite a challenge to draw. Day 2 was wisp, and my daughter said, "Oh, why don't you draw a whisper candy bar, Mum, and then put an X across the A, so it's wisp instead of whisper." So I did that. So thanks to my daughter. Day 3 was bulky, and I wanted to convey that this lady wasn't fat, that she just had really bulky clothes on that made her look large, and that her clothes were so bulky that she couldn't even put her arms down. Day 4 was radio. Now, in my youth, I had a radio just like this, really large radio, which had absolutely fantastic sound. And I bought it when I was living in Hong Kong, and then brought it back to the UK when I finally came back to the UK. And it lasted for years and years. In fact, I think my kids used to play with it. So, a trip down memory lane, really, this radio. Right, and day 5 was blade, so I simply drew a knife with a blade. Day 6 was rodent, so I drew a rat, and I wanted to kind of make his fur really stand out, so I used the finest of the pens to do his fur, and that took me quite a while. And then I also did the shading on the fur to try and show where his limbs were. Day 7, the prompt was fancy, and the first thing that came to my brain was the fancy cakes, like Mr. Kipling makes. They're kind of a square cupcake with cream on the top, and they have like pink icing with also some white piping, or they come in chocolate, some brown and yellow, I think. Day 8 was teeth, so that one's fairly self-explanatory. Just drew a mouth with some teeth in it, with a nice smile. Day 9 was throw. Now I thought about drawing somebody throwing a ball, but I think we had that in last year's prompt, so I wanted to do something different this year. So I decided to draw a sofa with a throw on it, and I think that's one of my favourite pictures of this year's. Just simple, but still one of my favourites. Right, day 10 was hope, and because of my baby granddaughter was born the day before, I drew a mum praying for her baby in the incubator, her very tiny baby, because I felt that was very apt. And you can see that she's hooked up to all sorts of machines, just like my granddaughter was. So that was kind of poignant for me. Day 11 is disgusting, and it's a boy, and I imagined him just having eaten something, a candy or something that was really horrible, and he's saying, no, I don't want any more, it was disgusting. Day 12 is slippery, and it shows somebody slipping over in the snow, and just to confirm that it's snow, I've put a snowman in. So day 13 is June, and I've drawn a sand dune with the sea in the distance and a boat on the horizon. Day 14 is armour, and in fact the next 3 days I did do a catch-up video on it, so it's just a suit of armour. So quite simple one, that one. Day 15 is outpost, and it's kind of like a grocery store that would have sold everything and that you could find all the way across America. So I tried to show that it had lots of different things in it, and also in the corner you've got the wind vanes of the pump for pumping water. Now day 16 is quite a simple picture. The prompt was pockets, so I just drew the back of a pair of jeans with a lady's cell phone and maybe a candy bar poking out of her pocket. Day 17 is storm, and it shows somebody with an umbrella up, and it's pouring with rain, so it's a storm, so you can see the puddles and you can see the storm, and also her scarf is blowing in the wind. Day 18 is trap, and I wanted to show like the little mouse is trying to think, how can I get that cheese without being caught in that trap? So it's kind of a cartoony one, really. Day 19 is Dizzy. Now Dizzy was a prompt last year as well, and I drew an ice skater going round and round in circles. So I wanted to do something different this year. So I drew a roundabout, which is supposed to, you imagine it going round and round, and then a girl, and she's supposedly just got off the roundabout, and so she's feeling really dizzy, so she's put her hand up to her face, and she's got her other hand out to kind of steady herself. Day 20 is coral, and it's a bit like the fish one on the first page. So if you look, you can see there's lots of fish, tiny fish swimming around the coral, so hopefully this is a live coral and not a bleached one. Day 21 is sleep, and it's just a baby on a rug, fast asleep, with little Z's coming out of his mouth or her mouth. Day 22 is chef, and it's just kind of a cartoon of a chef. So to try and make it look like a chef, I've shown his hat, and he's also his apron, and he's carrying a wooden spoon. Day 23 is rip. Now I did think about doing RIP, but then I thought, or a tear in some fabric, but I thought, no, I'm going to do like the ripcord on parachutes. So here we've got 2 parachutists who just jumped out and then pulled their ripcord, and the parachutes are about to come out. I don't think I'd like to be quite as close as that to my buddy if I was jumping out of a plane, but I've never done it, so I don't know. Right, day 24 was dig, and I imagine this man is either digging in the garden or else he's out at sea digging on the mud flats, digging some bait, and if you see his dog is in the background, and he's also digging, and all you can see is his bottom and his tail hanging out the hole. Day 25 was buddy, so I just drew 2 little girls holding hands. I assume they were great buddies, so that's how I imagined it. Day 26 is hide, and if you look, there's a girl hiding behind the tree. The other girl is kind of looking quizzically, wonder where she is. I should have done a question mark above her head, but I forgot that. Day 27 was music. Now, I know nothing about music, so do not think that I've just put these notes in and they might be totally wrong. So I don't think it's a real piece of music. I just drew it as I thought about it, and just to make it look good. And day 28 is float, and I imagine myself a bit younger there, with my sunglasses and sun hat on, floating on a ring with a cocktail in my hand, and just enjoying the sunshine, either on the sea or in the pool. on a grey day like today. That's something I'd like to do. Shoes was 29, and I love this pair of shoes. I don't wear them much because I'm not very good in stilettos, but I love drawing them, and they have one of my favourite pictures in this one. Day 30 is ominous, and it's a storm brewing on the horizon. And if you can see, the winds come, and the girl's hair, and a scarf and her coat are all blowing, and then the dog is sitting next to her, and there's the storm clouds, very dark, and the lightning, and you can see the reflection of the clouds dark on the hills, so it makes it quite brooding, and then the rain falling. So that was ominous. Day 31, the final day, was cruel, and I just did a baby crawler. So this year I didn't actually get my Inktober finished during October, but that was just because of everything that was going on in our lives. So I hope you've enjoyed my sketchbook tour, and if you have, please give it a thumbs up. See you next Sunday at 15:30. Stay safe, stay well. Bye.